Most altcoins have a very hard time to outperform, and that's because of token dilution and very little interest by traditional finance. Now, Hyperliquid does have interest from traditional finance. There's not just the Bitcoin ETF, there's not just the Ethereum ETF, there's now also a Hype ETF. And that ETF sees massive inflows while Bitcoin is facing outflows. And so Hyperliquid is one of the very few altcoins that's actually able to outperform Bitcoin long term. This is the Hype price divided by the Bitcoin price. So we are looking at relative performance here. This is an important chart because most people look at altcoins just in US dollars. But of course, when Bitcoin goes up, then most altcoins go up as well and vice versa. There's a lot of correlation. When we take the additional risk by buying a smaller altcoin over just buying Bitcoin, we need to get that additional risk compensated. And usually altcoins fall flat on that outperformance. Not Hyperliquid though. It's ironic because the Hype token is not just Hype. The Hype token runs the leading decentralized finance protocol in all of crypto right now. And it outperformed Bitcoin by 730% over the course of just 7 months. But are we late right now, since we've already rallied a lot? Let's dive deeper into the data. Let's have a look at the marginal buyer and the marginal seller. And of course, also the total addressable market, as in how much higher could Hype potentially go from here. Hi, my name is Gerhard. I've been in the crypto space for the last 8 years. I hit my first million 3 years ago, and it is mainly through active trading of altcoins. While it was very hard to make money in the last 2 years, since crypto went down and most people have lost the majority of their funds, we are now at an all-time high if you include the current open positions. Now, I cannot share the positions that are currently open. That's for the premium members, but all the closed positions, they are officially in the link down below. You can have a look at yourself how I am trading and why we make money over time. Now, Hyperliquid invented efficient decentralized perpetual futures trading. So if we wanted to bet with leverage, with more exposure on a crypto asset, we could either do this in the past on a centralized exchange or in a decentralized protocol that was not very efficient. DYDX was the very first player. But Hyperliquid made this all decentralized and efficient. And that's why we got so much adoption. Now, recently, the real growth driver is traditional finance assets. Have a look at this. The S&P 500 has an open interest of 460 million. Then we've got various technology stocks following that. So just for the assets that are listed over here, we are roughly at 1.5 billion in open interest. Open interest measures how many bets are currently placed on an asset. Now that's important because if that grows, that shows us that the platform is growing. Now have a look at the open interest on Bitcoin on the platform. That's currently at 2.2 billion. And again, just those few stocks, and we didn't even go through all of them, that's already 1.5 billion. The total open interest across the entire platform is only 5.5 billion. So what's happening here is a true convergence of traditional finance and crypto. Hyperliquid allows to trade traditional finance assets with less fees and also around the clock. So when the traditional markets are closed, we can still buy and sell the stock or the commodity or the precious metal on Hyperliquid. That's the big advantage. So there's strong adoption and strong product market fit. I use Hyperliquid every day as well. And the business development front is also very active. For example, the largest crypto exchange in Africa has now integrated with Hyperliquid. So that's announced on X, formerly known as Twitter. If you are active on X, then feel free to also check out the account of this channel. I publish data regularly over here. We just discussed DYDX. If you're not yet following, make sure that you follow the right account though. So that's at Bitcoin Strat. Make sure that you don't follow a fake account. There are many fake, many scam accounts. At Bitcoin Strat is the only official account. Now here's what has some people concerned. Hyperliquid, as so many other altcoins, is also an inflating cryptocurrency, as in the supply does grow over time. But the team has a very long-term vision. Even though there are those regular unlocks, on-chain we don't really see those unlocks moving anywhere. Only 5% of the initially planned unlocks are actually circulating. And then we've got the buyback program. That's going to reduce the token inflation as well. Still, there's no way around this. 1 year from now, we will have roughly 24% more Hype tokens floating. And while the buyback program through the trading fees is attractive, the protocol has to grow at least by 25% per annum for the price to continue to outperform. Now, in the last 24 months, that has happened. We are at 5.7 billion total value locked. And 1 year ago, we were at 3.6 billion. The TVL almost doubled. It definitely outgrew the supply expansion. My impression is that even though the hype token is also inflationary, that inflation can be absorbed by the project, simply because the project grows that quickly and that constantly. The tokenomics are very fair. And I'm not even sure if the team wants to cash out directly on chain. They might decide to just do over-the-counter deals and directly move the tokens into the ETFs without having any direct market impact. The buyback program has already removed 4% of the circulating supply. And there is natural demand for the token as well. As in, when the token is getting staked, we get a reduction in the trading fees. And this can be very much worthwhile for anybody that moves at least some funds on the Hyperliquid platform. Now, what about the market cap? We are currently at $18 billion. How much higher can Hyperliquid really go from here? Let's compare. Solana, for example, has a market cap of 48 billion. And I think there is no doubt that Hyperliquid is more useful than Solana. In my world, there is no reason why the market cap of Hyperliquid should be smaller than the one of Solana. A 3x, at least in relative performance, I think is very much a possible scenario. We might even flip XRP, because XRP has been promising many things, but not yet delivered. At least that's my personal opinion. That will bring a 5x from the current price. So yes, Hyperliquid is not going to go into the trillions, but a doubling, tripling, potentially even quintupling, so a 5x, is definitely a realistic scenario. Hype is one of those very few altcoins that's actually detaching from the usual attention-driven price discovery. So the attention on hype does not necessarily correlate that much with the price. And that's rather uncommon. Have a look at this. We've got the number of social engagements in brown, and we've got the hype price in green. We can see, even though there is less and less attention, the price continues to rise. And that's because the platform is just getting more and more usage over time, which drives token burning and which also drives demand by Wall Street. The problem is we are currently at an all-time high in the hype price relative to the rest of the altcoin market. Does it really make sense to buy at those prices? Is that the smart move? There's many ways to look at this, right? We could see that's a resistance, but we could also just draw a rising trend. There's a lot of subjectivity to technical analysis. That's why I like to do backtesting, so simulations of buying and selling. This comes now from the backtesting platform of this channel. It's Bitcoin Strategy Analytics. We are backtesting Hyperliquid relative to the others market cap, so relative to the altcoin market. And what we see over here, that's a heat map. We're trying to find the best trading rule, what kind of golden cross and death cross works the best for Hyperliquid. So we determine the best combination of two moving averages, and that's what we see in this chart. The best combination is over here. It's a 27-day plus 3-day simple moving average. And here is how well that worked over time. We've got the hype price at the top, and we've got the strategy equity at the bottom in US dollars. So this tends to appreciate much more consistently than the hype price. And here is how that looks like right now. The 3-day SMA crossed the 27-day SMA on the 16th of May. Since then, stayed above the moving average, and we should stay bullish for as long as the hype price does not fall by more than 8% relative to the rest of the altcoin market, and then stays below that for 3 days. The momentum is still very much intact. Again, it's a 3-day versus 27-day simple moving average. I like to use this data-driven approach in general in my trading. That's why the history looks the way it does. Of course, I cannot share the current open positions, but all the closed positions, again, are on the website linked down below. Every single trade can be verified. So there's Telegram messages for every single trade. This here, for example, that was when we bet on the falling price of Luna Classic. And then subsequently, we closed that position once we got the golden cross. So the idea is that we just follow the best trading strategy for each individual asset and then take those signals seriously, because historically they worked well. Exactly the same approach that we now follow with Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's momentum is still bullish. It still makes sense to bet on rising prices. Now, I cannot share every single premium trade here, but I have set up something new, and that's this website over here. And it is linked down below in the comments. You can get one premium trade completely for free, together also with a premium tutorial video that explains how to set everything up. We like to use Hyperliquid. Everything is explained in the tutorial. Just put in your address and everything will get emailed to you. If you don't have time for manual copy trading, there's also automatic copy trading. We've got 4 different capital pools, also called vaults. The one that bets on relative valuations, so on altcoins, that's currently up 18% annualized. Last year we got 44. I'm working hard to get us to 44% this year again. But the best is simply to start out with the free trade, make your first money, and get an impression how we actually work. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. Cheers.